What is with everybody being so goddamn fragile? Last week it was the white guy who was going around all 50 states and was going to date one girl from each state. And a few black women on social media got upset because when you lined up all the women, obviously, you know, he wasn't into pretty much any woman that wasn't white. Which it, I don't even think it was an affront to black women. He was just, picking picking what he wanted. He's white. He's picking white women. So the fuck what? You know what I mean? I didn't see any Hispanic women in there. I didn't see any Asian women in there. So the point that I'm making is, it wasn't even you couldn't even interpret it specifically as an affront to black women. But I guess all the divestors and swirlers felt some type of way. So they, trying to slam a white guy for preferring white women is got to be the dumbest thing in the world. Then we had the Little Mermaid fiasco. Actually, I don't know which one came before, but the Little Mermaid fiasco, which I really don't care about. I'm going to get into that in a second, where people are bitching about, the Little Mermaid, because, Haley Bailey, who's a black woman, is playing, what's the damn main character in Little Mermaid? I forget what her name is, but playing the Little Mermaid. And now you got John Boyega, who says he only dates black women, and he's getting a whole bunch of backlash from that. I haven't seen the tweets or the posts for coming from, white people. I would love to see who's saying it, like whether it's white women or white men, and I'm like, and I understand that a lot of times it's not the same people who file the complaints, but from a group perspective, it looks crazy. You know what I mean? Like, from a group perspective, if you're trying to generalize and okay, black women are bitching about a white guy who wants to date white women or is obviously choosing white women, and then obviously you're gonna have white people who come out and be like, it's only natural for him to choose what's his own, right? And then John Boyega says, I only prefer black women, and then out of nowhere you get the same voices that are now feeling some type of way. Even, again, when I say the same voices, the coming from the same group, I should be more specific, coming from the same group, which is just crazy. And I think, by and large, it's kind of pointless, being the fact that it's most likely not the same people. I think it's kind of pointless for everybody to get up in arms and go with this, my group versus your group, and argue from that standpoint. Because yeah, you got America. I mean, America has 330 million people. There's 220 million white people. There's 40 million black people. You know what I mean? All it takes is literally like 12 tweets or freaking 100 posts on a YouTube page or something, and it's like everybody on either side just goes fucking ballistic. This shit makes no sense. It's like, do most people feel that way? Nobody knows. We haven't taken a poll. We haven't taken a consensus. And it's just like with the gun community, right? Like, it's something I noticed. Like, anti-gun. Like, how do I put this? People only passionately care about things that they passionately care about. They only care about things that affect them mainly. I said the same thing, like when it comes to like interracial violence versus intraracial violence, right? Like, white on white crime, white people act like it doesn't exist. Let a black person violate a white person, white people go ballistic. Black people, black on black violence is going on all over the place, you know. And yeah, black people are saying stop the violence and all that other shit. But I'm saying, we all know that if a white cop were to kill a black man, the smoke is completely different than, when it's just regular black on black crime. We kind of just take that for granted, like, yeah. And I get the difference. There's a difference between a state official killing you versus criminals, in your community killing. That's totally different. I get it. But at the same time, the energy is not the same. It's just simply not the same. People have this, same group preference, and, that's what they go up there and bitch about. But I'm just saying, it's like you get 10 people that make a post. And honestly, I think, the media just makes massive amounts of money off of it, because regardless of whatever drama exists is clicks and likes and views. And I have the, what's the app called? Newsbreak, which is controlled by the Chinese. And that is the most race baity news app I've ever seen. I mean, literally, as you scroll, like one article will be like Blue Lives Matter, and the January 6th people are heroes and patriots, right? And then the next article will be Black Lives Matter and how the insurrectionists did da 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 da. Like, and I'm just sitting, I'm scrolling, I'm like, yo, this is so fucking race baity, and everybody falls for it. The white you have article. I mean, just off of the title, they didn't even read the article. Just in the comment section, blah, 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 just foaming at the mouth. I'm like, did you even read the article? Sometimes the titles are completely misleading, or they change the titles from the original article, and then you click on it, and it's like, oh, well, it's actually saying this. But they get you in there on that clickbaity shit, and that's what people seem to do, and what people seem to focus on. And I just think that people need to be more aware of that. Like I was saying about the whole 2A and the gun thing, like gun control people, moms demand action, women and everything, right? You see them on TV. You see Michael Bloomberg up there, 98% of Americans believe in background check. Though you go to the comment section, anytime some news comes out about the Second Amendment, those gun control people are not in the comment section. You know what I mean? Like, because again, I've talked about this before. That whole like gun owners actually had, like, if gun control actually happens, they actually lose the guns that they physically have. So they lose something. So they are obviously going to feel some more type of way than somebody who really has nothing to lose. Whether gun control happens or not, the person that's the gun control advocate doesn't actually physically lose anything. Right? They can talk about if only one more life and all that other bullshit, which I think is crap, a bunch of crap, because they only seem to care about freaking stray bullets when the defender is shooting back, not when the attacker is actually shooting and who they might hit and being able to stop the threat. They don't care about that. But anyway, let me get off my soapbox. I'm just saying, it's like, when did everybody become so goddamn fragile? And so the other thing, let's talk about the Little Mermaid, right? And it's like white people foaming at the mouth about the Little Mermaid. The author didn't intend for the black girl to play the part. I'm like, I don't know where the author who wrote the book or wrote the story said that, but what the fuck ever. It's like people, like, the way I feel about it is, so the fuck what? Let her play the fucking Little Mermaid. But at the same time, I also feel like I wish they would stop doing this. Like, I wish all these super woke people in positions of power would stop doing this, and I wish black people would stop doing this. I'm like, give us our own, fucking thing, or let us create our own thing, and then, whatever, you know, whoever backs it, backs it. But I'm saying there's plenty of, I just posted this shit with the, creative artists that could come up with their own stories, their own, what do you call that shit? An IP or something, like what, they could come up with their own shit. There's plenty of creative black people to come up with their own shit. Hell, we're the most copied group of people on the fucking planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, as though black people don't have any creativity, but yet we see our creativity, virtually nowhere when it comes to, like, producing and creating our own content about telling our own stories. Again, a part of the system of white supremacy. No, you can't tell your own story because you might put something in there that's against us or that we don't like. So, obviously they're not going to back that. This is why it's important for black people to back other content creators, that are putting out the type of material that they want to see. Right? You have to promote yourself. I don't know why I have to beat that dead horse. But I also feel like, again, we should get our own, like, why do even the black actors and actresses, why do y'all even fall for that? Why do you sit there and think, it's like, why are you so not woke? Not woke, like, beyond being woke. Like, why are you so not woke to sit there and say, you know what I mean? Well, I'm not going to play that part because I know that part was originally played by a white girl. Let me go why don't you, when y'all come up with something creative, let me know and I'll go play that part. Something that's never been done before. How about that shit? Right? But that's not what happens. Right? The black people, it's just like when who was it? Was it not Sanaa Lathan? It was what's the woman's name? Zoe Saldana. When she tried to play Nina Simone, like really, you're gonna play a woman that clearly doesn't have your features. Clearly, that was a big part of her identity, and people attacking her and saying that she was ugly and unattractive in the face of the system of white supremacy and Eurocentric beauty standards, and that was a part of her identity. And you, who are clearly not that, are going to play that role. That's dumb. You should have turned down the role instead of going through all the drama that she went through, and she is up there crying and everything. Bitch, you should have known. You should have known. Just like what Captain Solo always says. He's like, what he hates about freaking light skinned women is the fact that he's like they're so ridiculous with it, and with the help of black men, dark skinned black men, they're so ridiculous with it. Like they'll see a throne that clearly belongs to the dark skinned black woman, and the light skinned biracial woman or whatever will literally go up and sit on that throne. Cap's like, I already know I don't belong on the Wakandan throne. I already know that shit. He's like, I ain't trying to sit up there. And so there's a responsibility on the part of the actors and the actresses to not play certain roles. I understand that you got to eat, but you also got to stay on code too. Otherwise, the shit just turns into a fiasco, and you ain't gonna make any money any goddamn way like that. You know what I mean? Instead of putting out something that everybody jumps up and loves. Now, here's the fucked up part with white people. The shit that just irritates the fuck out of me with white people. Because they'll sit there, oh, you can't play the Little Mermaid, bitching up a storm, right? All the white supremacists and racists foaming at the mouth, right? But then, remember all the bitching that was going on when the Black Panther came out? Remember all the bitching and the whining and the fussing, about, well, why can't we have the White Panther? Really? Really? Just all this bitching. Same thing when it came to Battlefield 1 on Xbox. Battlefield 1 on Xbox, the cover of it was World War One, and the cover of the Xbox game was a black man who was a part of the Harlem Hellfighters, and freaking white people like lost their shit. Now, what I will agree with them, talking about how the majority of the people who fought in World War One were European. Correct. It was in Europe. Duh. Right? But they wanted to, basically pay homage to the Harlem Hellfighters. They thought it was an interesting angle to put in the game, even though most of the game had, like, with the missions, they were kind of like historically accurate, especially that airplane mission. That shit was way inaccurate, like not even close to being historically accurate. And then they even took even more liberties with Battlefield 5, and then they went the gender route, with women and shit like that. And I'm like, why didn't you just do a Russian female sniper? That actually was some legit shit. But instead, they just like made up some other shit. Like that whole mixing, historic, like history with like other fallacies and taking these sort of liberties. People really don't like that. You know what I mean? But the point that I was making is what I could agree with the white folks, even the ones that would be like considered white supremacists and all that shit with the Battlefield 1 is like, bro, don't like, yes, you can put black soldiers on the American side or the Allied side, but don't put black soldiers on the Axis side. Don't put black soldiers on the German side. You know what I mean? I don't know how many times I'm running around playing Battlefield 1 and I get bayoneted by a black German soldier with a freaking, the damn, what do you call that damn thing? The spike on his helmet and shit. I'm like, the fuck is this? Motherfuckers coming, right? And I'm sitting there like, the shit is kind of like, it just takes you out of the immersion. And Battlefield, this is the whole reason why people just shit on 2042. You start putting political shit in games. You start putting, political correctness in games and shit like that on a game that people are specifically coming there because of the immersive element. And you can't get any more immersive than Battlefield 1. I mean, you cannot get any more immersive in a video game, especially if you turn off the HUD. Nigga, what? Anyway, you can't get any more immersive than that. And then you just throw some shit in there that just throws shit off, like playing Battlefield 5 and there's some handicapped, like screaming female soldier in the background. And again, you can go online, you can look at the Battlefield 5 trailer and how they thumb that shit down into oblivion, putting a bunch of woke shit in the game, putting a bunch of over the top shit in the game. Nope, that nobody wanted. It's like, this isn't. People were saying, not my battlefield, not my battlefield, and I was one of them. Not my battlefield. Like damn, this shit is supposed World War II. I'm like, yeah, this shit is supposed to be. I want to see swastikas. I don't want to see the Iron Cross. That's not accurate. I want to see swastikas. I want to see freaking. I don't want to see women on the battlefields of France. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see black soldiers on the Axis side. I don't want to see that. If you're gonna include them, put them on the Allied side. I don't know why all these extra liberties are needed to be taken, in a game, because it's 2022 and all this stupid woke shit. All it does is make people hate the woke shit. You know what I mean? Like it just goes like way too far. It's like the shit with the, if you don't want to date a transgender woman, you're transphobic. Like, I'm like, no, I'm fucking straight. That's what I am. There's a part of me that, as much as I don't want to acknowledge it, I do kind of get some of the white people on why they're like, no, because, okay, primary example, like the shit I just posted, and I need to look up like who wrote The Lion King, because we could have a field day with that Lion King author. I'm pretty sure it was somebody white. I could be wrong. Who wrote The Lion King? The Lion King. Erie Mechi, Jonathan Roberts. That's what it looks like. Let me see. Screenplay, directed. Yeah, these are white guys that wrote The Lion King, right? But the funny thing is, right, and this is how like black people will get shit inaccurate. Let white people make a Lion King starring white people. Now, some people might say, well, The Lion King, first off, like, you can't say it was intended for black people because it was animals, right? Which is like kind of what I'm saying about The Little Mermaid. Like The Little Mermaid is a fish, but I do get them on the fact that, you got the freaking guy who's white and then he falls in love with the Little Mermaid. So now you're going to be talking about interracial relationship because they would have to make the guy black in order to not make it interracial, right? But all that shit, like, this is what's so stupid about people, just bitching about fucking made up shit. The Lion King is about fucking animals. And what always got me is like, and this is like the stupid part of people bitching about certain things, right? Like the Lion King, like the freaking Mustafa, right? Clearly a black name. Mustafa was played by who? Who did the voice acting for Mustafa? James Earl Jones, same man that did Darth Vader. Okay, even though Darth Vader again was played by a white man, right? A white actor, a 7-foot freaking, or what it was. I think it was not. No, I think the guy that played Chewbacca was 7 foot. But anyway, Darth Vader was played by a white actor. If you go on YouTube and pull up what the guy's voice really sound like, they definitely couldn't make him Darth Vader. But anyway, so they had James Earl Jones play the part. And then in Lion King, James Earl Jones played the part. But what the fuck did Simba sound like? Simba sounded like a freaking white boy California surfer. Hey, dude, radical, cowabunga. Like he was like, no, fucking A, Mustafa. You know what I mean? Like, he just was like this freaking California surfing Malibu white guy that they had play Simba. Like, and I'm like, there was nothing African about Simba's voice. I mean, it wasn't like they even got an African American to come up with a fake ass Kenya voice, to play the part. You know what I'm saying? Everything the light touches is our kingdom. Like they didn't even do that. No. They went and with the California white boy part. Now, who was the Lion King for? Was it for all the children? Was it for white children? Was it for black children? Who knows who it was for? Nobody gave a shit. No, literally, nobody gave a shit. But I'm saying, if white people did a movie that had all white cast, painted in African face paint and shit like that, playing a real life version of the Lion King, but it actually had like white people, like Natalie Portman was like the queen, Mustafa's wife and shit like that, and Mustafa was played by, I don't know, freaking Brad Pitt or some shit. Black people would lose it. Black people will be jumping up and down. This is a cultural appropriation. All this shit, even though this shit was written by two white guys. You know what I mean? I mean, hell, the Black Panther was fabricated by Stan Lee. Yes, we know he derived, a freaking, his concepts of, a having black superheroes because, there's a lot of shit that Jewish people have done, again, go watch the documentary Hollywoodism. There's a lot of shit that Jewish people have done in terms of, these sort of cultural ideas that we have in our head and shit that they derive from. Malcolm X is derived from, Magneto is derived from Malcolm X. Freaking Professor Xavier is derived from Martin Luther King. Okay, most people don't even know that, and nobody was running around, cultural appropriation. Personally, I think it was some cool shit. It was based on what was happening at the time when Stan Lee came up with the character. Okay, so Magneto is the no nonsense, fuck them humans, like we ain't dealing with them because that's what Malcolm X was on, initially. You know what I'm saying? Like, but Martin Luther King was on the, let's come together, kumbaya, initially. And so he went off of we got these two people that are looking for the advancement of their people, but in different ways. Very interesting plot line. Stan Lee, whose name isn't really Stan Lee, it's Stan Lieberman. You know what I'm saying? But what else was I gonna freaking say? I just think that I'm gonna double check to make sure his name is what's his real name is. I want to double check because I want to make sure I don't get it wrong. Come on, where's the Wikipedia page? Come on, Lieber, Lieber, not Lieberman, Lieber. Let me get that right. I had a feeling. My spidey senses were tingling like, nah, motherfucker, you got that wrong. But anyway, yeah. Stanley Martin Lieber. That was his real name, right? Because all the Jewish people, due to the system of white supremacy that a lot of folks will try to deny, like Ben Shapiro, they changed their names so that they could, look like a bunch of Gentiles, so that they wouldn't be discriminated against, right? But white supremacy doesn't exist, but all the Jewish people changed their last names so that they're not discriminated against. Interesting. But anyway, I'm saying if white people started playing the characters of the Lion King, black people would go off. And black people didn't even write that, nor did they write the Black Panther. If they replaced the Black Panther with a white person, black people would go off, right? Obviously, that wouldn't make sense for the character as the character was created. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what people are pissed off about. Like, is it the cultural appropriation? Is it the, challenging the original version that you saw? Is it the, don't change what the story is about, right? Like, what is it that people are really triggered about, right? Because a white person could easily come through and be like, well, the Black Panther wasn't even written by a black person, so, right? Or they could come through and respond, with, like they did before. Wakanda doesn't even exist. It's not even real. Africa is a shithole, right? They come up with some shit like that. You get what I'm saying? That, like, I don't see where the basis of anybody really bitching. Like, in other words, I'm like, you could bitch, you could come up with an angle, but I'm like, is that the hill you want to die on? Really? A fucking mermaid? You know what I mean? I remember they did this with the freaking, I had the other video that I did a while ago. They had, that showed, the Renaissance pictures of black people in Europe. So it wasn't like black people weren't in Europe during the Middle Ages. Europe and Africa have had extensive relations. So a lot of people that want to talk about, like black people and antiquity and all this other shit, like, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know history. I've had to argue. I was arguing with some idiot the other day about the freaking Natufians, which are like the OG Middle Easterners, just like the Olmecs are like the OG Native American group, or interacted with Native Americans and whatnot. Because the DNA was, it's E1B1, which is purely an African DNA. You got E1B1A and E1B1B. and I was arguing with some racist white supremacist that put up a video and then wanted to argue that the Natufians were anything other than black people. I'm like, E1B1 comes from Africa. Like the fuck are you arguing? You know what I mean? But anyway, what's the point I was gonna make about us talking about antiquity? Hold on one second. What was I talking about? Antiquity. Oh, I remember. You know, the other thing that people were bitching about not too long ago because they changed one of the characters. They had a black, again, completely animated. They had a black girl play. I forget what the character's name is, but you know, freaking God of War steals a lot of mythology. First, it started in Greece. Now it's in Scandinavia. Now you know, freaking you know, the God of War is on some Viking shit, and then he's the father of Loki. You know, what I mean, like just all this. You know, so a Greek god is the father of Loki, which is a Scandinavian god. I mean, right off top, bullshit. And I'm saying even with that, right? Even with who is the father of Loki, and like none of the white people jumped up and called that shit historic. Well, that's not accurate to Scandinavian mythology. A Greek god could not be the father of freaking Loki. But yet they let that shit slide. But they had a black girl that played one of the characters in freaking God of War, and white people went ballistic and talked about how, you know, this is inaccurate and everything else like that. Well, neither is freaking the God of War even having the deep ass voice that he has talking about boy, 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 because that is played by a black male actor. You know what I mean? Y'all running around talking about ideas and concepts of white masculinity, and y'all don't even have the fucking voice deep enough and manly enough with enough testosterone in it to even have white men play their own fucking voices in these damn video games and shit like that. Oh shit, we need a more masculine voice. Get a black man. Get a black man. Isn't that funny all the time? But y'all want to subscribe to these fucking stupid ideas of the purity of white male masculinity and shit, and y'all don't even have the fucking voices, you know, with the shit. You know, let y'all do your own voice acting, and y'all be up there, Leviathan, Leviathan. You know, like maybe I shouldn't say that because what's his name played Bane, and he did a pretty good job and shit like that. You know what I mean? But I'm saying I could have a field day with just that alone. The fact that there's so many times that the voiceovers for the freaking white characters are played by black men. You know, I'm gonna Google something. Don't tell me Master Chief is played by a black man. Master Chief voice actor. Let's see who's Master Chief's voice actor. I'm pretty sure it's a white guy. Master Chief voice actors. What is this? No, that's for the new Halo series. I want the video game voice actor. Stephen Downs is the voice actor. Okay, cool. He's a white guy. But you know, Hollywood doesn't give a shit. You know, when they're going for what is the best, what is what for whatever part. You know, and if people want to make shit purely this racial thing, then you know, shit. There's a lot of stuff that wouldn't go down. You know, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of just things that like if we started removing and there's so much stuff that people don't even know about, like just shit that you have to actually dive into Wikipedia or something and be like, oh, this person played this part or this person did this voice for this. Like I didn't know. I just found out like shit I learned today. I just found out that freaking Groot was played by Vin Diesel. Didn't know that. Vin Diesel's a biracial man. You know, like, was somebody going to bitch about that? Biracial men can't be trees. You know, like, I mean, what are you going to bitch about? I don't know when the world became so fucking fragile with this shit. I just don't. I have no clue when everybody became so goddamn fragile. Shit makes no sense. You know, but, I mean, I don't have anything else. I don't have anything else to say about it. I wish that black actors and actresses would stop being, freaking used as pawns and whatever like woke battles are going on. Be like, nah, we want our own character. Don't have to be the Little Mermaid. You can come up with a completely different story. You know what I mean? Just like this, the creation of the Black Panther, and it actually becoming like a fully fleshed out Marvel comic book character, like to make rocking the box office. I mean, beating out fucking Spider-Man and Superman and Aquaman, and beating out all this shit. So I just don't know why black people don't allow themselves to have growth with that. Like, what are you gonna do? Have Haley Bailey in The Little Mermaid 2? Like, come on. Come on, dude. Like, get something that actually has some growth. Like, you already know if Chadwick didn't die, you know what I mean? We'd already be looking at the Black Panther 2. That would already be produced and on the table. So personally, I think they need to bring back, and people have argued with me about this, but they need to bring back Killmonger. Say somehow vibranium saved him, or they froze his body, or something like that. And you can start the movie off where there's another Black Panther, but then that Black Panther is somehow defeated, and then they're like, well, we have to bring back Killmonger, and then Killmonger is woken up, and then they say, Killmonger is like, where is freaking T'Challa, and they're like, well, T'Challa died. Then Killmonger, feels some type of way. He does a whole bunch of soul searching, and then he, just, kind of takes on, he still is him. He still has his attitude about liberating black people and shit like that. But he also takes on, the ideas and concepts of T'Challa, possibly speaks to T'Challa in the spirit world and shit. And then, Killmonger ends up being the Black Panther. But you might have some Africans be like, no, the Black Panther is a true African, and they already insulted us by not making a true African the original T'Challa, and so now you're going to replace the Black Panther with African American? That's not what Stan Lee intended. Really, you going to tell me what a Jewish man intended about a totally made up fictional fucking character, and then the real actor that again you already had a problem with because he wasn't African and he had a made up African accent, was playing the role, and now that he's dead in real life, and now they're trying to figure out how to way to continue the series, now you're bitching about that too? The fuck? We're trying to move the series forward, god damn it. Like this is what I'm talking about. Like, people they want to get so goddamn technical with the shit. They want to get so technical, and then you just end up destroying, a series, just like freaking, they destroyed the Alien series. No, Covenant, no, wrong. Like, damn, you got the engineers, you put the fucking humans, engineers, predators, and aliens all in the same universe. And then you have this fragile alliance between the humans and the predators, coming together to defeat the aliens that are like a plague. And then, obviously they come across the engineers that basically created both of those groups. And then, even though I know that's not canon, created both of those groups. And then after the humans and the predators form this fragile alliance over the course of multiple movies, defeat the aliens, okay? Then they got to deal with the engineer, who is obviously like their father and shit. The engineer who wants to destroy both of them because the engineer is like, these are my abominations and I want to destroy my creations because I don't like how shit turned out. So then again, another fragile alliance has to be formed between the humans and the predators in order to defeat the engineers. Or you could have it where the humans, engineers, and predators form a fragile alliance that breaks apart in the beginning to defeat the aliens, and then once the aliens are defeated, then they go, and then the humans and the predators have to come together to fight the engineers. They could have ran with that bitch, and we would have seen some awesome fucking movies. But no, they gotta fuck it up with, oh, David created the aliens on LVB2, whatever the fuck planet it is. I'm like, oh my god, really? Really? So we don't get to see the king alien. We don't get to see the origins of the queen alien. Like no, the aliens were supposed to be their own species on some obscure evil planet, and they're like a parasite that just somehow it infects things and everything. They lie dormant and everything. They could have just went with that, but no. David is tinkering around with the aliens because the engineers were tinkering around with the aliens. And so now the aliens don't have their own zoology. Now the aliens are just a byproduct of freaking David tinkering. Like, they see how they fucked it up? You know what I'm saying? That's what happens when you get idiots, at the helm. I don't care if he originated the shit. He messed it up. That's what happens. You gotta let people that actually have a passion be the creative directors of the shit. Damn. But anyway, I'm just saying. And when we get into all the racial shit and everything else, I don't know where everybody got so goddamn sensitive. You know what I mean? You got white people running around foaming at the mouth. The great replacement, they're replacing us, and this is just a way for them to replace us. And again, like I said, I'm going to end this video. I don't know why black people fall for that. I'm like, no. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the trick. You be like, no, that's okay. Y'all do the Little Mermaid thing. We're going to go over here and, we're going to come up with something else. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a whole bunch of untouched African gods and lore and shit that black people could get into. Nah, they won't flesh that shit out. Y'all too busy running around trying to be, freaking, something else that has nothing to do with you. And I get the racial implications and white people trying to bar us out. Look, hey, what's his name? Who played, it wasn't Ving Rhames. Who played, what was the actor's name? Was it Michael Douglas? Who's the actor? The one that was played the Green Michael. The Green Mile. What was that? Michael Douglas. Wait, what is this? No, that's the other Michael Douglas. Green Mile. Who's the actor? What's his name? I want to say Michael Duncan. Yeah, Michael. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm pretty sure it's Michael Duncan. Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan, right? Who passed away. Michael Clark Duncan, look, Kingpin was always a freaking big fat white man. But when Michael Clark Duncan played Kingpin in Daredevil, nobody can tell me that he didn't kill that shit. Nobody was sitting there looking at Michael Clark Duncan in Daredevil as Kingpin and saying, he totally doesn't fit. I can't get past his blackness. Nobody can tell me that shit. Kingpin not being a fucking white man didn't really affect the movie in any fucking way. Michael Clark Duncan killed that shit. So people acting like you can't put another person in another role versus what it was in a comic book or something, like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying sometimes like it's it's a fit. But I just don't know how people just got so just sensitive about shit that they're just so triggered and they're just foaming at the mouth and this is the great erasure and this is the great replacement. They're just going crazy at the keyboard. I don't get it. Like, to get that mad about it. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my video. SWP out.